Okay.
And welcome to another episode of Things That Go Bump in the Night. I am Joel Wilson, the Digital Guru, here in the Digital Guru studios somewhere in the heart of Myrtle Beach. And it's a special day. I have a special guest today. Found her on Instagram, asked her if she'd like to be on the podcast, and she says, why not? Melina, let's get the
Mhm.
right name here. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing, I don't know which way is up half the time. But I know I say that you are running, you're herding cats every morning, every afternoon, every evening. So this is your time that you get to relax and be calm. But for the listeners who are or follow me, tell them who you are and what you do.
My name's Melina Waldrop. I'm a psychic medium, intuitive. I offer tarot readings, oracle readings, Reiki. I also clear houses. If you've got any spooks, I bring a friend of mine. Her name's Renee. She's a psychic medium, Renee Anderson. I bring her along, and we team up and we go through and we clear homes. I love to ghost hunt as a hobby, but mostly I'm a tarot card reader full time. So that's my full time job.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody says as a hobby, I like to ghost hunt. I mean, that's something that just happens, but you do it as a hobby. When did you know that, you know what, this is something for me? Was it a young age?
I've always been interested in, well, I grew up in a haunted house
Yes.
listening to ghost stories from my great grandmother. So it started there, but I was always interested in the afterlife. And my mother died when I was 11 in 1993. My stepdad and my sister, they were all killed in a drunk driving accident.
Oh,
And I guess the trauma made me even more curious, but I've always had abilities. I actually had a dream that my mother was going to die a year before she did.
oh.
Um, but that really heightened, I needed to really understand. And that's kind of fueled my curiosity trying to understand the afterlife. And it's fascinating to me. Like if I could get paid to be a ghost hunter, I would totally do it.
Well, I think that's going to be next up on the list, right? And back to you have to wait till the kids are out of the house.
Well, I mean, I'm available, some weekends to do stuff like that. I would love to like travel around and when I can and visit some spooky cemeteries. And I want to go to the Myrtles in St. Francisville,
Hmm.
Louisiana. I've never been there. But yeah, every once in a while we'll go. Renee and I and some other girls will go to the Thomas House. I think it's in Boiling Springs, Red Boiling Springs. It's a few hours away from here, I think, but that's a cool place to investigate. It's got some spooky parts about it though. So it's been on a lot of TV shows too.
Well, I
But it's
tell
been
you,
a
living in Myrtle Beach, I'm about 2 hours north of Charleston, and you want to talk about spooky places. Charleston, South Carolina. Every place you turn around, there is something there.
kind of like New Orleans, I bet.
Yes, and I love Nolans too. That is that I would go down there if I could find someone, a group of people to go down there. I would spend a month and just go through and do ghost hunting and podcasting for a month down there.
Yes, that's my favorite place that I've ever been in the whole world. I've been a few places. I haven't been in a while, but I just love the energy there. I always
Well,
have.
we'll have to get you here in Charleston because I have a couple people who love to do the ghost hunting portion of that. I'm the one who sits back and goes, "There's got to be a logical explanation, but I have no idea what it is."
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I've never been there, but I've heard about it.
It is cool. Let's go to the tarot card reading. Now that's big. For the people who don't know or have they're curious on what it is. Why don't you explain exactly what it is?
Well, the tarot has been around for a very long time. So that's a loaded question. There's so much information. So basically, I'm a psychic medium. So I channel messages, but I also use cards in conjunction.
Okay.
So basically, people, well, what is it? Basically, you've got your major arcana and your minor arcana. Major
Okay.
arcana are archetypes and they represent pretty major stuff. Minor arcana is more like minor things in life. You've got four suits that represent the four elements, and then you have You have the court cards who represent people.
Okay.
So you can basically, if somebody can ask me a question and I can pretty much see who, what, when, why, and where.
Well, that's cool.
But it's also like very intuitive. So I know the meanings of the cards, but there are times when I'll look at a card and I'll go, that's not what that means, because I'm getting an indication from spirit that it's not, or they'll draw me to something on the card specifically, and I'll know that that's important. So I don't really know how it works, but it works for me. um, so that's just I go with my gut, and I've been doing this now professionally for almost 8 years,
Wow. So
and I've
you
been
think you've probably seen it all. What's one of the biggest misconceptions that people have?
I believe that I get this question a lot. Well, who is my soulmate? I believe we have a soul family.
Uh-huh.
I think we have more than one soul contract, in a lifetime.
Huh.
So I think that's a big misconception that I have to kind of try to explain to people. I also think people misunderstand twin flames. Twin flame relationships are usually pretty volatile, and in my experience, they don't usually last because they're there to teach you a lesson. What else? That there are set outcomes. Like, I believe astrology, there are some certainties in astrology, which I don't specialize in. I know enough about it to tie it into my readings, but
Hmm.
um, people, I believe the universe presents us with choices, with options, and it
Okay.
depends on what we choose as to what the outcome. So what I do when I read for somebody is I tell them I'm reading the energy of the most possible outcome, the most probable outcome. If we see something that we don't like, then we ask, how can we change it? Like
Oh,
what? So this is the thing. Different readers read in different ways. And that's
okay.
another thing that people misunderstand. Different mediums read different ways. There's evidential mediumship, and then there's non-evidential mediumship, and then there's mediums that do both. So that's a loaded question too. There's so much information. I think
We're
I
going to
think
have you on another podcast to continue on. But yeah, continue on with what you're talking about. Do you think that would be a good idea for people who are in business to say, am I going down the right path?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I mean, we can look at kind of like people ask about money all the time, and we can kind of see where it's going. If it looks like it's going to be fruitful, I mean, there's certain cards that will come out that will tell me that. There's a, if there's a progression, especially in the suit of the Pentacles, which is Earth, then we can see that it's going to grow. We can kind of see what the blocks are, what the challenges are. But yeah, that would be a question that you could definitely ask the tarot.
I think that would be something that a lot of businesses would be they should be utilizing because we all have we think we can do this because we are business people. But if there's some other way that we can figure out what does is this the path I should go? Obviously, it's not what the future holds, but is this the path I should take, or should I change this, or any little minute, changes in where you're going? I never thought about that because I always thought that, everything's predestined. You can't change it. You're going down this path, and there's no exit ramp. You're going here, and no matter what you do, it's going to, this is your destination. But I love the way you're talking about it. It's like you've got choices. You come up to the fork, you can go right or left. And that's something that you could help with.
Right, and I actually have had most of my questions are love and relationship, but I've had a lot of people who are business owners that have come and said, will this be successful? Am I making the right choices?" And a couple of them I've watched them be successful after that. So I won't mention because my readings are confidential, but
Hmm.
yeah.
I love that. Have you ever, where something you look at it and it's something really bad? Obviously, I know I see that smirk and I can see the eye roll. What do you do? Do you continue on, or how do you broach that subject?
I think I've learned to have tact.
Yes.
I've learned to say it in a way that I kind of can spin it in a positive direction. So, I can see in the cards if somebody's asking me about their boyfriend, and I can see if they're cheating. I can see possibly who they're cheating with. I can see And I'll have people that come to me too that are like, is my husband cheating or is my wife cheating? And the cards will tell me that they're actually the ones cheating. So like, yeah, I've learned to kind of read my clients, read the room. And I just have a knowing of how to, I've just over time developed a knowing of kind of the ones that I need to be a little more careful in how I say things. But people really, the most common feedback that I get is compassionate, but also straightforward. Like people really appreciate a reader who shoots them straight. And, I'll always say, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just delivering the message.
Hmm.
I very rarely have people that get mad and don't come back. Most people are like, I really like that because you've got people out here. I don't criticize other readers, but you've got, some readers out there on socials and stuff that you watch all their readings and all their readings are glitter and rainbows. And that's not reality.
That's
So
exactly right.
if you watch my readings on my socials, you'll see that it's a mix up because that's how I'm just telling you what the cards are saying. So yeah, I've learned.
We're here with Melina Waltrip. Tell people how they can get in touch with you.
I'm on Instagram with the blue check mark. There are a lot of imposter accounts out there, people that steal my content that will reach
Really?
out, solicit for readings. I don't ever reach out to anybody to get for them to get a reading. Like you can my stuff is in there. You can email me, you can message me, you can book through my website. So on Instagram, I'm Black Cat Moon 13.
I love that too. That is so cool.
I've had that name picked out for forever. Forever. 13 was always my soccer number, my lucky number. And I've always just loved that number. Um but so you can find me on Instagram, and then on Instagram you can go to the link in my bio is my link tree, which has all my links.
Hmm.
But I'm also on TikTok, I'm on YouTube, and I'm on Lemon 8.
Okay.
But my link tree will have all the right links there. Just don't get if anybody goes there, don't get scammed. Like don't go if you search Black Cat Moon 13, you're gonna see more than one. I'm the only one with the blue check mark. And I also on Facebook. I'm on Facebook and I have Meta, so I have the blue check mark there too.
I love that. And that's a big important thing where people, and nowadays they're trying to scam it and to write off anybody's coattails, which is just crazy. Now, when we first started, chatting and getting the interview together, you were like, I may have something that I get to announce. And we talked about this morning. Announce the let's tell everybody the big announcement that you have now.
So I just joined the Association of Independent Readers and Root Workers.
Hmm.
It is an association that I'm the 40th member to join. I'm so proud of it because I'm basically alongside the big dogs of this industry, like the
Yes.
best of the best. I went through a correspondence course back in 2021 with Kat Ironwood, who is, I say she's the OG of this industry. She's been around since the 50s. She's an author. Um, I graduated that, and then I had some life changes that postponed my goals. I had a baby and some things, but anyway, I finally buckled down and I did the interview process, and I'm going to be a part of that. And so you can go to that site. It's independent readers. It's readersandrootworkers.org. Um, we'll have to don't quote me on that. I need to look and see. I think it's dot org. Anyway, that link is also in my link tree, but it'll tell you, it has my bio and all the things that I offer and all the kind of magical consultations and things that I can do for people. That's also something that I offer. Like if you want to do, and it's hoodoo, it's root work.
Hmm.
So, if you want to hire me to set lights for you, which is basically lighting candles, fix candles, I do honey jars, lots of stuff. You can go there and check that out. But it's a really big deal because I also get to mentor under Cat Ironwood. And I also will be on, at some point, will be on the Lucky Mojo Root Work Hour radio show,
Wow.
which is every Sunday. So they give away free readings at the end. So they'll talk about a subject, and then at the end, they'll have readers come on, the readers that are part of what's called Hoodoo Psychics is another. It's a hotline that I'll also be a part of. But you can also book readings directly through me. But they'll have us on and we'll read for people and then we'll prescribe a working for their condition, their situation.
Wow, you're a busy person with everything else you've got going on, and now you have to vote for you. So let's tell everybody about that as well.
So there's something called faceofhalloween.org. It's Face of Horror. It's a contest that is for children's charity to raise money for children's charity. Um, so the voting started on the 25th, but it goes through September 4th. You get one free vote per 24 hours. And then if you purchase votes, it all goes to children's charity. The winner gets to meet Jamie Lee Curtis and Matthew Lillard from Scream and Kane Hodder, I think is his last name. He's the guy that played Jason in Friday the 13th. They
Hmm.
also get a spread in Rue Morgue magazine and $13,000. So I think I'm at 10th place in my group. There's different groups, and there's out of 60, I'm at 10th. But yeah, if people could go vote for me, that would be just so great. Like my goal, I'm gonna get teary eyed. I want to buy a house for me and my kids, and I want to pay cash for it
There you go. That's a good
because,
goal.
yeah, I want something that no one can take from us. So I've been through a lot in my life. I just want stability for them. I mean, we're good, but I want to buy them a home. So,
Well, I've got my listeners, and I will tell you, go vote. I will put a link on the website, on the paranormal website, things that go bump in the night. I'll put a link that they can vote for you. Vote more than once in a day because the money's going to charity. I know I'm a cancer survivor. I have a 501(c)(3), so I understand the benefits of charities trying to raise money for good causes. This has been a great podcast. I got to have you on again because I've got notes that I never got to. We got to talk about the haunted house sometime too.
oh yeah, do we have time to talk about any stories about the haunted house?
Yeah, let's go through. I've got probably about 10 more minutes that I could do. I want to know that so we can tease, but I'm definitely going to have you on again to talk more in depth about some of this stuff. But let's talk about the haunted house.
Well, okay, so it's been in my family since the late 1800s, I believe.
Wow.
And well, it's not my family anymore, unfortunately. That's another goal. One day I want to buy it back.
Yeah, I think that you should.
There's lots of stories. So my great grandmother, I now think that I feel like the women in my family had abilities. They just didn't know what to call them because now that in hindsight, I look back at how they were telling me they were seeing things or experiencing things. I'm like, oh, well, that's mediumship. So, I mean, there's lots of stories. I think one good one. My grandma used to wash dishes, and there was a kitchen window, and she said one day she was standing there and she saw a man at the bottom of the driveway wearing a top hat. And
Okay.
I could still hear her telling this story. She was like, so I went to see what he wanted. And she went out there and he wasn't there. But the one thing she would say is that she could only see him from the waist up. And so
Okay.
she would go back in and wash her dishes and he would be there again. And that happened, to my knowledge, happened multiple times. And then there was another story about one day she was standing there washing dishes, and there were baby footprints on the kitchen window.
Whoa.
And she always said that she thought that that was an indication that my mother would be the first child to die because I think my grandmother was pregnant with my mother. So there's lots of little stories,
That gives you
lots
chills
of
on your
things. I
arms. I'm
saw
sorry.
I know. I saw something in there. I did not like to be in that house alone. I was watching TV. I had gotten off the bus and I saw something in the TV glass, the reflection. And I got up and walked backwards and bolted to the door and I ran down to my papa's store, which was about a block away. And I never tried never to be in that house alone again. I would get off the bus if I had to be there and sit on the porch and wait for my grandmother to get home. But people, I was just watching a podcast that was talking about it's the feral folklorist Papa G, who's also a member of AIR. Um, you should go listen to that podcast; it's really good. He just had one talking about mirrors and how it's a thing that some cultures cover the mirrors when people die.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, nobody did that, and that might be why the house was full of spirits because people did die in that
Wow.
house. My grandfather, my great grandfather, my grandmother. Um, My Mamaw Giles, I think, passed away in the front. And then there was a family that owned that house before ours. And so there was like a little girl spirit that my uncle saw. And I think that might have been what I saw, but it was a black mass. He actually saw a little girl with a Buster Brown haircut standing in the doorway of my grandmother's room. So lots of stories. I mean, over the years. But trying to think. There was a story too. My great grandmother said that my papa went down to see about somebody down the street, and he said, I'll be back. And when I come back, we'll go see the cows. Well, it started to get dark, and he went home, and she was looking out. She where her chair sat, you could see out the back to the backyard, was the pasture and all that stuff. She said she looked out and she saw a flashlight motioning like to come on, and she thought, going out there. He hadn't even come to the door knocking to get me. And so a little while later, he comes in. He said, "Are you ready to go?" And she said, "Well, weren't you just out there with a flashlight?" And he said, "No."
Wow.
So lots of stuff like knocking. I used to sleep with pillows over my ears because I was so sensitive anyway.
Uh-huh.
Clairaudience is one of my gifts. And yeah, that house was definitely, there were bumps in the night, but in the day too. Like you could just feel you were not alone. That's why I never liked to be alone in there because I knew I wasn't by myself. You
Well,
just
I
felt
know
like you were
that
being kind of
now that
watched.
you've grown up and you say you want to buy it, if you purchase that, would you live there?
I would probably live there seasonally at some point. And maybe, I mean, Laurel, Mississippi it would be a good like retirement place. Um, I don't want to move back there. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe
Well,
it
well, that's a
depends.
definite answer. I don't know, maybe. I love that answer. But
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
being who you are and being so sensitive, would that bother you having to try to live in some place like that?
No, actually, I find it fascinating. Like I would rather live in an old spooky haunted house than a brand new, new build. Like I love that because I'm endlessly curious about it. I would probably set up investigative like equipment and cameras and stuff if I could get back in that house.
Well, I tell you what, we've got listeners here. If we want to do this, we're all going to get together. We're going to buy that house, and we will set up cameras in every room. Everything is going to have. We'll come to the state of the art and find out exactly what's going on there. How's that sound?
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. Well, we're going to wrap this show up. I got to have you on again, though. There's just so much. This was a fun episode. I love it. I'm going to have you on again sometime if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I would love to sit and talk about ghosts. I could do that all day long.
It's going to be great. Well, we're going to wrap this up. This is Joel Wilson, and I will see you on the other side.